I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Steph Tolev caught up with the LA Times. They said her special kind of is like a rock concert. She said, yeah, that's my big thing. I've been like a rocker since I was 14 or 15 years old. My dad listened to grunge music, so I grew up to like Alice in Chains and Stone Temple Pilots. Steph, are you trying to make me feel really, really old? How old is Steph Tolev? She's 40. So your dad's got to be at least 57, and you grew up listening to dad's music, which was 90s grunge music? That math doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, she says, as soon as I was allowed to go to concerts, I went to concerts every single weekend, and my energy on stage is so big that I feel like I want people to feel like they're at a live rock concert. The venue where we did the recent special is the Paradise Rock Club in Boston. I didn't want to do a normal theater. I don't want to do any spoilers, but there might be some crowd surfing at the end. I really wanted to end my set by crowd surfing, so what better way to do it than at an actual rock club? I think there's a saying that every comic wants to be a rock star. I have a mullet. I feel like people need to experience more live stuff because you're not going to watch a live show on your phone and go, oh, I don't need to go see that band live. But I feel like people see comedians on TikTok and stuff and are like, no, I'm good. I'm like, no, you got to go. You got to be in the moment, especially because so many comics do crowd work now and it's such an organic experience and you're actually seeing a live show. Back in the 80s, you wouldn't have seen Van Halen on a news conference and been like, I don't need to see them live. So I think there's a parallel between comedy and music. I just think being present, actually getting off your phones and going to see something and experience a moment instead of just sitting on your butt and scrolling. She talked about working, quote-unquote, dirty. And she says, I want to say all my filthy stories are real. Like nothing in my specials is made up. I know comics make up stories and everything. I don't think I could have made up half that stuff. It's bizarre. Like, I didn't want to be choked in a basement. I didn't want to be hung from a sex swing. There's all these big things that happen to me that I'm like, I just happen to lead a filthy life. I don't want to. I don't want to be like this. I'd like a nice normal date with a man who takes me home and doesn't kill his dog at night. I don't want those things to happen to me, but they simply do. So I hope the special makes people see that maybe their life isn't as horrendous as mine and makes them feel better and more confident about themselves and being more old. Eliza Schlesinger told Billboard, I have pro tips for comics, male and female. This is an art and there's an alchemy to it. And that means there don't have to be any rules. You don't have to ask for permission. A lot of times comics ask, do you have any tips? And the time you're using to ask me about this, you could be setting up a show, you could be writing. We don't ask for permission to do our art. We do it because we have to do it. So my tip would be if you're struggling, just go and do it. Find that bar and ask, what's the slowest night you have? Can I run a show here? And you get up with the 5 minutes you have, you take your punches and keep doing it because you love it so much. And then you have to because you can't live without it. Seth Meyers doing a lot of press lately. Spoke to Variety, who pointed out nearly every comedian has a podcast. Has that affected late night talk shows? Seth says, it hasn't infringed on the kind of comedy I'm doing. You want to make sure that everybody can get the kind of comedy they want. We're always careful not to start doing the kind of comedy we don't want to be doing. I get it. I do that podcast with the Lonely Island guys, and we listen back to it and find edits and stuff. Even though I was on it, I'm like, oh, it's nice listening to people who like one another. It's a different vibe. I totally get people who engage with podcasts as their comedy. I got to go back and listen to that podcast. I think I sampled it, and I was like, and I really like Lonely Island. Seth continues, if there's anything that podcasts have affected, it's that you realize when you're talking to somebody for 8 minutes, it's very unlikely you're going to get deeper than a podcast does with them over the course of an hour and a half. So it does put a burden on interviews. You want to move quickly and be funny because it has to be a different thing than a long-form podcast interview. Seth says, we've kind of weaned ourselves off politicians as guests because we have more fun talking about politics than talking to politicians. I actually think there's more value in a politician going on a podcast and not feeling the rush to just hit talking points, which sometimes they might have at a show like mine. I think it's good for the politicians and good for the voters for them to go to some place where there's more time and less of a race to hit whatever their PR team has come up with. People are wigged about The Simpsons. Spoilers. You haven't watched The Simpsons in 20 years. It's okay. You weren't going to watch this episode. But spoilers. In the season 36 finale of The Simpsons, Marge Simpson dies. It's one of those fast forwards that they do. You know, sometimes Lisa is the president after Trump. Bart's usually like 40 years old and kind of a bum. So it's one of those. The plot. Marge warns the kids, your father and I won't be around forever. When you get older, you'll need to lean on each other. The kids ignore this and grow apart in a montage. Marge passes away early, and we see a scene at her funeral. Homer is crying. Her tombstone reads, beloved wife, mother, pork chop seasoner. We then see Bart, Lisa, and Homer coming back together as a family 35 years later. At one point, Lisa finds a video in which Marge tells Bart and Lisa to remain friends. So people are like, did Marge pass away? Well, no, it's Simpsons time travel. Things don't make sense. At one point, Homer was born in the 50s or 60s. Now he's born in the 80s, I think. And there's an episode in season 27 that also goes 35 years into the future. And Marge is alive and lives on Mars. The Simpsons has been renewed through season 40. This show's going to run forever, it seems. Not sure what's going on here. Hope everything's okay. Jamie Foxx's show in Stockton was canceled on Thursday, just hours before it was scheduled to take place. The venue on the website said, and pay attention to this language, due to unforeseen circumstances, Jamie Foxx playing Bob Hope Theater on June 26th has been postponed. Please hold on to your tickets as the tour hopes to release a new date in the near future. And then Jamie postponed his Saturday night show. Listen to the language. Due to circumstances beyond the historic Bakersfield Fox Theater's control, the Jamie Foxx show scheduled for June 28th has been postponed. We are working with the event organizer, blah, blah, blah. I hope he's okay. When I worked with him, he was reliable. I'm possibly speculating, a gig came along. Hey, do you want to be in, some movie or some other project? And the other project was more interesting than 2 dates that could be rescheduled. But to schedule it that late, I don't know if something's up. Hope everything is okay. Jimmy O. Yang spoke to the South China Morning Post about growing up in America. He lived in Hong Kong until he was 13. He said, for a long time, I feel like my brain got divided in half. When I was starting to live in America, I forgot about a lot of Hong Kong memories. When he went back to Hong Kong, he remembered some stuff, like visiting relatives' homes to receive lucky red packets at Lunar New Year and visiting Hong Kong landmarks such as the Peak as a young child. Jimmy says, those are really core memories. The first beach I ever went to was in Hong Kong. The first tram I ever took was in Hong Kong, so all my firsts were in Hong Kong. I think memories are connected to your senses. When you get out of the airport, you smell the damp humidity in the air, and then you smell the sweetness and the sound and everything. That brings back a lot of memory. I think this place still feels like home, and there's a comfort to it, which is very nice. Happy birthday, Mel Brooks, 99 years young today, and FX is developing a comedy titled Very Young Frankenstein, inspired by the 1974 comedy classic Young Frankenstein. Brooks is an executive producer on the show. I don't know about this idea. I'm not crazy about Spaceballs 2, and I'm not crazy about Very Young Frankenstein. It is a weekend in the summer. Johnny Mac's been known to pad out the shows with some articles, and here's one that is pretty timely from The Guardian. Mel Brooks comedy films ranked. Let's take a look. Number 10, History of the World Part 1 from 1981. I remember as a kid loving that and just think it was the most awesome thing. And because it had Part 1 in the title, I couldn't wait for Part 2. And then we finally got Part 2 like a year or two ago, and it was so disappointing. Number 9 from 1970, The 12 Chairs. I have no idea what this is. Let's see. In the USSR, circa 1927, an ex-aristocrat, a con man, and a priest search for a missing chair stuffed with jewels. It's Mel Brooks' second film. I don't know that one. Number 8, Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Dave Chappelle makes his film debut in that one. Number 7, Life Stinks from 1991. Mel Brooks plays the leading role in a trading places adjacent morality tale of a billionaire who accepts a bet that he can survive on the Los Angeles streets for a month. This comedy about homelessness bombed, and I don't remember it existing. Number 6, Silent Movie, 1976. It is a meta-comedy. Mel Brooks plays a Hollywood director trying to make a silent film, and it's a silent film. All right, I like it. Number 5, Spaceballs from 1987. The Guardian points out this Star Wars spoof arrived 10 years too late. Yeah, kind of. I didn't realize it was that late after Star Wars Mania. Wow. Number 4, High Anxiety from 1977. Mel Brooks plays the head of the Psychoneurotic Institute for the Very, Very Nervous. He's framed for murder, menaced by pigeons, and cornered in the shower. Number 3, Blazing Saddles. Boy, I haven't looked at this list yet. If Blazing Saddles is 3, what are 2 and 1? I guess the producers is going to be one of those, but I might have to put Blazing Saddles at the top. It is unbelievably funny. Number 2 is The Producers. Oh, wait. Oh, I just figured it out. All right, no spoilers. Number 2 is The Producers. And number 1, Johnny Mac, you're an idiot because you just talked about this film 3 minutes ago and said how great it was. Number 1, say it with me, Young Frankenstein from 1974. What a fantastic film. And some of you are going to watch it now and be like, hey, is that the dad from Everybody Loves Raymond? And that is your comedy news for today. Happy birthday, Mel Brooks. See you tomorrow.